Hey everybody, today we're going to take a look at how I'd put together a basic chord melody for Django's Nuages. We'll start with a full performance of the piece and then we'll break it down into fine detail. Right, I'll catch you on the other side. So if you click the link in the description, you'll get all the materials you need for this lesson. That'll be tab and notation for the full arrangement. I'll send the chords over as well, so you've got that tabbed out. I provide these in two formats, PDF and Guitar Pro, so that should have most bases covered. So the first step in arranging something for chord melody is to know the melody itself and to know the chords. Sounds obvious, but it's really important to be super comfortable with both of those as separate entities first of all, and then we put them together. So we're thinking, okay, the first part of the melody. There's 2 points within that melody that I would try and underpin it with some kind of harmony underneath. The first one being on the top note, where I want to hear that over the top of an F major chord. So I would accompany this with the fifth and the third of an F underneath. And then this note, we want a D flat 7 underneath. So this is going to create a D flat 9. Then we walk down. We want this on the top of a C7. C7 flat 9 is the resulting chord from doing that. Final note of that opening line. It's just the fifth of an F major chord, so we can chuck a bit of an F major underneath it, root, root, third, and then the fifth on top. If you did want to fill the space, you could do it a few different ways. One way that works really nicely is to throw in some 3-note voicings, typical of the Django style. These are things we looked at in great detail in the last couple of lessons, so do go back and revisit those if this doesn't seem familiar. So there's F. This would be like a C7, and this would be an F diminished or an A flat diminished, and then an F major triad. Go round again. If you wanted to fill this space, I would suggest an alternative to the last line, simply going above the F major triad. So that would be C7, B flat diminished to F major. So the next chord is A7, and the melody that runs into that, the melody itself focuses in on the flat 7 of the A7. So what I would tend to do there is just play the melody and then land that chord with an emphasis on this note. On beat 1 of that bar, then for a small amount of movement, shift the chord up a semitone but keep the top note the same. Adds a nice bit of drama. Same kind of melody, but this time it resolves to D minor, the flat 3 of the D minor. And again, you can just leave these gaps as they are, let the chord ring out if you want the more minimal approach, or you can fill it in with something else. You know, typically you might hear a bit of a line cliche in there. So that would be walking down from D minor major 7, D minor 7, D minor 6. Trying to retain all the other notes in your chord. Another option, something that Django himself does beneath Stefan Grappelli's melody on this, on one of the recordings, he plays this, which is like a D minor, part of a D minor triad, but with a 9 on top, and then walk that top note down. Next part of the melody. We want to resolve that to a G7 chord. The melody would be the 3rd of that G7. Now here again we have a couple of options. You can either just take the simple route of moving the entire chord down a semitone to a G flat 7 and back. That sounds like this. Or the slightly more involved way of doing it, which is what I tend to do. G7, but then keep the bass note the same and go G diminished 7. That brings in a few nice little options. That's a really lovely sound, that. And then the next part of the melody resolves onto a C7, where we have the root of the chord as the top note. And again, we can take that exact same diminished trick we just looked at. C7, C diminished, C7. Now if you know you're diminished, you know that you can simply take this and move it up 3 frets, and it self-inverts. Make it sound kind of dramatic, a little more big bandy, a little more bluesy, especially if you chuck a little hammer on in at the end. Blues style. Then we're back to the original melody for a moment. But then here what I like to do quite often is, instead of just thinking of D flat 7 to C7 to F, it's nice to think of these as 2 5s. A flat minor 7 to D flat 7. G minor 7 to C7 to F. That's a really common trick in jazz, to take your 2-5, because we are in the key of F after all, so your 2-5 would naturally be G minor 7 to C7, resolving to F, 2-5-1. You start a semitone above, 2-5, 2-5-1. So if we're thinking along those kind of lines, we could maybe play something like this. So just to break that down, A flat minor 7, D flat 9, G minor 7 flat 5, C7 to the F. And then one of these walk ups again to the F major triad. Now at this point we move the entire melody up a fourth. Essentially we play. And what you can do is just repeat the melody again. But I like to do an alternate melody there. One of the earlier versions of this, Stefan Grappelli plays this beautiful melody. So we're going to chuck that in. We're going to play. So if you were to harmonize that melody, G flat 9, add the 13, the sharp 11 or the flat 5, F7 flat 9, staying on F7. We don't really need to add anything to that because we already have the root and the flat 7, it's pretty strongly suggested. And then resolve to B flat, part of a B flat major triad. And then the same there, B flat major. And then in the performance earlier I played this. This is just B flat 6 9. And then we play. And that note there would be the top note of a B flat minor 6 chord. So we use this inversion. And then I just follow down through the inversions of this. And I use some of the typical Django tremolo picking kind of. This time we resolve the same melody to the top note of an F major chord, the 5th of the chord. I like to harmonize it with the F6-9 underneath. And then we reuse this an octave higher on the next string set. Also in that gap, sometimes you might just want to outline the cool little riffy thing that Django plays. That's kind of cool. Back to the original melody for a moment. Let things kind of slow down. And then to finish, C7. And then I like to use this voicing, C13 with a flat 9. Resolve to F6. Or just F major. And then in typical Django fashion, I like to outline the sound of the 1 going to the 4 minor, back to the 1. So I would just play an F7 arpeggio to a B flat minor 6. You can take advantage of the diminished quality within that minor 6 voicing and move it around in minor thirds and then resolve on this D minor triad, which really is F6. Okay, so a couple of points that I think are worth highlighting there. Some really useful stuff, especially for chord melody, of course, is to know all your basic chords and their inversions, especially when it comes to the top 4 strings, where you'll often find your melody. Things like working on your minor 6s across those 4 strings. Really useful. And major 6-9s, for example. Say you were on the 1 chord, the F, again on the top 4 strings. You've got your major 6th voicings, but you've also got your 6-9s. Hey Louis, you getting involved with the lesson? Good boy. Chord melody is such a great way to expand your knowledge on the guitar, you know, because you really have to fish around for good voicings to harmonize the melody on top. So I recommend doing a lot of that. It's the thing I tend to work on the most, really, is coming up with nice chord melodies for tunes. I tend to do a few different levels. I'll do a basic chord melody first, then I'll get a bit more intermediate with it, add a few chord substitutions, and then try an advanced kind of thing where we're putting in a lot of lead lines in between. By the time you've done that with a piece of music, you really know that piece of music inside out, And of course that helps inform you on what to do to improvise over it when you're playing lead as well. So really do spend a lot of time doing this stuff. It's so beneficial. If you've enjoyed this lesson, please do like, share and subscribe and hit the notification bell. All of that stuff makes a massive difference to the channel and how far it reaches. Also, if you have any questions, put them in the comments below and I'll answer them as fast as I can. Give me some ideas for future videos as well if you have any suggestions. Just let me know what you want to see more of or less of. Okay, thanks so much for watching guys, and I'll see you next time.